day for Ken Muscatel and his Epson Stylus boat. It happened on the back straightaway as the boat headed into turn number 3. The boat caught air, the nose went up. It stayed that way momentarily until the full flip. The 45-year-old driver, Ken Muscatel, was taken immediately to the hospital just as a precaution. We understand that he is okay. In fact, already have seen him wandering around the pits here. The boat, sponsored by Computers and Applications, was heavily damaged. Took a while for it to get out of the water. But again, Muscatel is back from the hospital. He's okay with nothing more serious, believe it or not, from seeing that video, than just a bruised thigh and a bruised shin. And he seems to be just fine. Qualifying did continue. We'll have a full recap of that coming up at the 6 o'clock sports, as well as any new information about Ken Muscatel and the crash that we can gather. But that's it from here.
Hanauer flips, could not breathe for 1 minute. He is okay. He is in good condition. His boat, on the other hand, is not. It's been shredded. Muscatel is done racing for the Columbia Cup, but crews are optimistic. His boat will be in good condition for Seafair Weekend in Seattle, so we're all hoping the best for him here. On a much lighter note, it has been a record-setting weekend already to start off for the 30th Annual Columbia Cup. The all-time course record has been set, beating Chip Hanauer's record, 168.85 miles an hour, set by Dave Villwock. Absolutely amazing. It's great out here. As you know, we will have a special tonight at 6:30, Jeff Simbita, and he will have the very latest, more details on the flip and all of the highlights down here from the shores of the Columbia River. Back to you.
Muscatel, who qualified the boat earlier in the day, qualified 8th at over 151 miles an hour, was going around the west turn on the Pasco side, caught some air under the right sponson and went up. The boat's behind us, and the crew says they're going to have this thing ready to go next week in Seattle. There's the flip again. Ken Muscatel, you will hear from him later on in sports, walked away with a bruised thigh, and he says he's ready to get back in the boat tomorrow. The boat's not going to let him get back in it, though, until next week in Seattle. What really, though, it marred what was a great day of racing on the Columbia. Some records broken, not only a course record, but a world record. All that's coming your way in about 15 minutes of sport. Record for the piston boats before lunchtime even hit. The course record was set by Dave Villwock, who drove the fastest boat for much of last year's race. The Pico's American Dream came out of the chute and posted a speed of 168.580 miles an hour, and the top qualifier thinks he can get it up to 170.
I think we could take a shot at it. I mean, you know, obviously that's not everything we got to throw at the course, but, you know, the temperatures are up a little bit and those things, so we might go a little faster, but we'll just have to see. You know, we got to get the rest of our parts that we're working on running well, and you know, get the rest of our systems sorted out. So we'll just see. We'll just keep working.
Villwock's got a couple of guys close on his rooster tail. Points leader Chip Hanauer and the Miss Budweiser turned in an afternoon time of just under 168 miles an hour. And right behind him is the Camel. Mark Tate and the Smokin Joes is the third qualifier, 167.376. But there was a world record on the river today. Mitch Evans took the Spirit of Lake Chelan around the course at almost 148.5 miles an hour, faster than any piston boat has ever run.
It's been great. You know, the boat's been running well all season, and to come here and finally put one together was kind of unplanned, but it sure is a nice one.
A seemingly perfect day took an ugly turn late. In the last 15 minutes of qualifying, Ken Muscatel in the Computers and Applications caught some air under the right sponson and was gone. A scary blowover which ripped the boat apart, but Ken Muscatel suffered only minor injuries.
A lot of boat going up gradually and then snapping over pretty good. Had lots of time to think and prepare, and really no surprises except that I wasn't able to breathe for about a minute, and that was the surprise.
Well, here's your qualifiers. It's Villwock, the Budweiser, and Smokin Joes are the top three. Nate Brown, they just pulled the boat out of mothballs. First time they put it on the water this year, they qualify fourth. The T+, the DeWalt Tools, then the Miss Rock, the Computers and Applications. The Miss Tri-Cities comes in with the 9th fastest qualifying time. Spirit of Lake Chelan with that piston record, and the Miss Cascade Homes. Ken Muscatel, it just amazes me to watch these boats go over, and here you are standing, and you're ready to get back in the boat. How do you guys keep walking away from this?
Who says I'm ready to get back in the boat?
I thought that was you.
I'm ready to get back in the boat, but not this boat, not this time. I mean, we need a little fixing before we can get back in it. We're going to work hard and have it ready for Seattle, and then we'll get back in it.
Something odd happened, or did you just catch some air, or what happened?
Well, every time it goes upside down, something odd happens.
Obviously.
There's no question about it. I don't know. I was there, but I can't tell you what. I wasn't necessarily the best witness to what was going on. I mean, I don't know if there's any air. The boat carried the right sponson. It hung, and then it went.
Well, I'm glad you're walking, and I'm glad you spent some time with us, Ken. Thanks, and good luck getting that thing back in the water next week.
Thank you very much.
Ken Muscatel, and he's up, and he's fine, and I think it was him who said he wanted to get the boat back in the water. Well, you can't talk about the sport without talking about Bernie Little, the godfather of the sport. Yesterday, we heard from Bernie, who won his first race here in 1966. That was the first ever Atomic Cup, and now he's shooting for his 100th. Who better to talk about Bernie than his crew chief, Ron Brown. And Ron, I appreciate you taking some time with us.
Thank you.
You've been with it for 10 years.
Yes.
What's it like working for Bernie Little?
Bernie's great. You know, he's a demanding type person, but I think that just sets this pace for everybody on the team. All of us want to win just as bad as Bernie does, and you know, we would like to have been top qualifier today, but congratulations to the Pecos team and Dave Vilwalk. And we're going to do what we can do to tune up Miss Budweiser, and I think you'll see a little bit different boat out there tomorrow, and we're going to try and see what we can do to get the top qualifying, because it's important for lane choice, and obviously to do that, the 100th win here, we're going to have to do all we can do to get lane choice and try and help that along.
Ron, I think we got some pictures that we're going to look at of Bernie winning on the Columbia. This has been a really special place that he said for him and for your whole crew to come here. Is there any pressure on you guys maybe to win this week and get the 100th out of the way?
Well, I think Bernie's putting more pressure on himself than it is on the team, and I don't think he's really standing over us with a big hammer and saying, okay, you guys got to win this weekend. But again, it's the tradition of this team to just go out and we're going to give it the best we can, and if it comes along, it'll come along, and I think Bernie would love to do it here, right. The fact that he got his first win here. So I can assure you that we're going to do the best we can to try and make this win here for his 100th win, but you know, we'll see. We're going to take it one heat at a time and get Chip in the final, and we'll see what happens.
Ron, thank you for spending time. Best of luck to you.
Okay.
Ron Brown, the crew chief of the Miss Budweiser, is Bernie Little. Their owner looks for his 100th victory. That's almost unbelievable when you think about it on the Columbia this weekend.
Ken Muscatel is here standing right beside me, so he's obviously doing pretty well. But Ken, it was a scary moment about 2:45 this afternoon. Why don't you take us through what happened?
Step by step.
Sure.
The boat got up, got over. I got wet. I got out.
But it's certainly not that simple. We saw as it headed into turn 3 that it went up, and then you went in, and you were talking earlier that it was some few scary moments there for you.
Well, the blowover wasn't that as bad as I thought it was going to be. I'd never been in a blowover before. The problem was that my mask failed, and I was breathing nothing but water, and so I had to get out before I could get a breath of air, and I didn't know how I was going to do that. So that was the hard part. I figured that they'd get to me and I wouldn't die, but I wasn't looking forward to drowning.
So what did you do when you were taken in the water?
I thought that the mask had failed or the airline had failed because I was breathing nothing but water. I couldn't clear it, so I turned up the gain on the mask to full. It still was nothing but water, so I took off the steering wheel, undid my seat belts, and rotated 180 degrees. It was full of water by that time, so my head was upright, you know, in terms of gravity. I got a little bit of air at that point, and then I managed to find the handle and stuck my little head out and ripped off the mask, and that was my first full breath of air. And the safety people were just arriving at that time.
And you're okay now? I mean, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay. I'm banged up, but I'm okay.
Okay, well, we're glad to hear that, and appreciate you spending some time with us. And you know, when you get back to it, hope things go well for you.
Well, we'll have it fixed for Seattle.
Okay, that sounds good. That's next week.
Thanks,
Joe. We'll have more on the rest of the races coming up in sports. And the 5 Columbia Cup Day 1 is in the books, and what a day it was. We talked last night about possibly having some history in the making, and we got it today. In fact, we got it on the first runs around the river. A perfect day to get in the water and try to qualify. David Schick here was just a bit slow, but a lot of fast times this morning on the calm waters of the Columbia. Nate Brown's Pizza Time was the first boat to pass the 160-mile-per-hour mark. But as soon as he was done, Mark Tate and the Smokin' Joes equaled that, and Chip Hanauer and the Miss Bud also came across faster than 160 in their first run on the river. But it would be Dave Vilwalk and the Pico American Dreamboat setting a new Tri-City course record, 168.58 miles per hour in their first qualifying run.
Yeah, it felt great. You know, I mean, the course felt great. The equipment was doing just working perfectly. So it really allowed me to come one with a piece of equipment and just try to lay in, the perfect lap, put in a good lap, make no mistakes.
Just 2 boats after Vilwalk's course record in the American Dream, a new world record around the Columbia. Mitch Evans drove the Mill Bay Casino U3 boat at a new piston-powered record of 148-plus miles per hour. Terrific run for Evans.
I mean, the river was perfect today, and I knew coming off each turn that the boat really accelerated real hard. And I thought, boy, I thought we'd run in the mid, 140s or so. And Ed came on and said, well, 143, I think, the first time, then 148. So I was really happy about that, of course.
As the crowds gathered and the temperatures rose for the afternoon session, it was a time to play catch-up. Mark Tate and the Smokin Joes did his best to catch Dave Villwock in the Pico American Dream, but he couldn't do it, turning in a 166-mile-per-hour lap in his afternoon qualifying. Chip Hanauer and the Miss Budweiser did their best, but 167 was all it would be for the Bernie Little team, and they'd have to settle for second place after finishing first in every qualifying so far this year. They'll have another chance tomorrow. So after the first day of qualifying, it's Dave Villwock and the Pico American Dream on top with a new course record that you see there. Miss Bud and the Smokin Joes are close behind. Nate Brown and Pizza Time in fourth, Steve David, and the T-Plus team is in fifth. The bad news today, afternoon session, 45-year-old Ken Muscatel flipped once in the Epson Stylus boat. Happened on the back straightaways. The boat headed into turn number 3. The boat caught air. The nose went up. It stayed that way until the full flip. Muscatel was taken immediately to the hospital, but as we told you earlier in the newscast, he is doing just fine now. The boat, sponsored by Computers and Applications, was heavily damaged. It took a while for it to get out of the water, but again, Ken Muscatel is doing fine. Speaking of doing fine, this guy right here is doing better than fine. Dave Villwock set a course record today, as we mentioned before. Terrific day, and you sure had one yourself.
Yeah, we had a great day. I mean, the Pico team really came through. They did a lot of work this week, and they got the boat set up really right out of the box to go out and run a big number. And all the King's horses down here at the end in that Bud boat are trying real hard to get us, and didn't quite get there. And a lot of other people are trying as well. But really happy for the team, really, to put together the day they did.
Now, when we talked last night, you had talked specifically about that, about coming out here and just taking it to everybody and doing exactly what you did today. Can you keep it up over the weekend?
Yeah, we're going to try. We're here, we're racing. I think there's, we just never ever quit. And I think that's our motto. And we're just going to work on some more equipment. And the weather looks like it's going to get rough tomorrow, and that's good. Surf's up. We're going to go running whatever the weather the Columbia River throws at us here, and it's going to be a great race. I think it's good. The fans got to see what they did today, and the air shows and all the stuff down here. It's a great day and a lot of fun. So it's going to be great tomorrow.
Your crew was telling me that they're not used to getting out of here at 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night. Usually there's some stuff to do, but the boat's in terrific shape still.
Yeah, the boat's in good shape. The engines are in good shape. So we're just on to another day of doing what we do, our vocation. We're just going to try to keep working it, going faster and faster and faster.
Okay, well, we wish you the best of luck over the weekend. We'll be here as well, and maybe see you Sunday.
That's great. Come on down, everybody. It's going to be a good time.
Okay, thanks a bunch, Dave. Appreciate your time. Best of luck to you.
Sure.
That's about it for now. Dave Villwock is first in the qualifying. They have more qualifying, 9-1 tomorrow, and then the championship, the heats all day Sunday, and then the championship at about 4:30.
The 95 Columbia Cup is history, and the question coming out of this year's event is whether or not the Miss Bud's complete dominance of the sport is history as well. Now, it's more apparent than ever than the rest of the field has caught up to Bernie and the boys just a bit, and nothing proved that more than the domination and fire of the Smokin Joes. The motors were running, and there was plenty of adventure out on the highway called the Columbia yesterday. It all started early as the Bud and the Smokin Joes faced off in the very first heat. And although it was tight early, Mark Tate pulled away for an easy win. And Joe's owner Steve Woomer began to get the feeling that this might be his day. Heat 1B was the strangest many had ever seen. Steve David and the T-Plus were leading until the boat's engine died. Dave Villwock and the American Dream stalled, then hit a buoy. And Pizza Time and Miss Tri-Cities were penalized for missing the buoy, leaving the win to the slowest boat out there, the Appian Renegade.
But my radio guy was keeping me pretty clear of what was happening, and by the third lap, I couldn't stop laughing in the cockpit.
The Joes and Miss Bud hooked up again in Heat 2A, and Chip Hanauer led until turn 4 of lap number 2. Following the bump, Mark Tate sped off to an easy victory, leaving the Bud team scrambling to fix a damaged right sponson, and Bernie Little hopping mad.
We started off in lane 4, we stayed in lane 4, and he intruded into lane 4 and hit our boat. In the paper this morning I read he was going to run right over, and so he kept his word, and he did.
I've been pushed around a little bit this year on the race course, and I've just made my mind up talking with my owner and my team manager that we need to change our strategy a little bit and be a little aggressive.
URC's official verdict, Hanauer veered out of his lane and was fined $100. Dave Vilwalk and the American Dream held off Miss Rock to win Heat 2B, the first of 2 wins on the day for Vilwalk. But it was back to the big boys in Heat 3A. Tate and the Joes in lane 1, Hanauer and the Bud in lane 2. And once again, it was Hanauer first to the turn, but Tate first to the finish line. Before the final, everyone knew no one would catch this machine. But the question was, could anyone catch this one? Steve Woomer wished Bernie Little good luck, but all of the Bud's luck was bad. Before it even got started, it was over. Hanauer broke a prop in turn 4 of the very first lap, and Tate cruised to his first win on the Columbia since 1991.
It's just one of those days where everything clicked, you know. Other teams have had days like this, and so we've had days like this elsewhere, and it was just a great day.
We've never had, in 12 years, been able to have that type of domination. We've watched it from the beach, but I don't think anybody can beat our boat ride.
A disappointed Hanauer had to be towed in, frustrated, but realistic.
It comes with the territory. If you accept the good weekends, you have to accept the bad ones. So we accept it and just go home, go to work.
And Bernie Little has to wait at least one more week for win number 100.
Oh, it will, and it'll come, and no pressure, no pressure.
So while the Bud team goes to work trying to fix what went wrong, it's Smokin' Joe's turn to reap the benefits of victory.
It was as good as it looked, folks.
Congratulations to the Smokin' Joes. Pizza Time finished second, their first event of the year. Then the Miss Rock, the American Dream, Miss Tri-Cities, T+, and Miss Bud. The point standings in the championship for the season, it's the first time nobody can remember how late in the season Miss Bud's been behind anybody. Smokin' Joe's comes out of yesterday's event, number 1. Meanwhile, the most inspirational moment of the weekend, well, that came on Saturday. Last year in Seattle, Ken Dryden broke both legs, a hip, and a vertebrae when he suffered this crash in Seattle. Saturday, he was back in an unlimited hydro, making his first run since the accident.
First thing after the wreck last year, they told me, you know, you may walk by next year this time. I said, no, guys, you don't know me. It's we're going to be back at it.
Stories from the day before out on the Columbia, no exception this year. The people around the Tri-Cities, you know, the ones wearing part of the thousands of acres of burnt flesh, they all can reflect upon the bizarre, the intense, and the domination from yesterday's 30th annual Columbia Cup. The huge crowd on the Columbia yesterday saw a day of racing which had it all. The bizarre, Heat 1B, Dave Vilwalk and the American Dream hit a buoy and stalled. The T+, leading the race, blew an engine and went dead. The Pizza Time X side appeared to win the heat, but was penalized a lap. So it looked like the Miss Tri-Cities won the heat. They too were penalized. So the slowest boat in the race, the Appian Renegade and Spokane driver Tom Hindley win their first ever unlimited hydroplane heat.
The guys told me on the radio, and I tell you what, the first thing that crossed my mind is who's going to catch me first. And then I sized them up on the course, and God, I spent most of the last lap laughing.
Hindley may have had the first laugh, but not the last. They weren't heard from again the rest of the day. The intense competition between the Miss Budweiser and the Smokin' Joes reached the pinnacle in Heat 2A. Coming out of the west turn, Chip Hanauer and Mark Tate collide. The Smokin' Joes went on to win the heat. Hanauer and the Bud finished second and were fined $100.
Those things happen. That's boat racing, and I talked to Steve Woomer about it. Steve says, well, that's a judgment call, and so that's it. So we'll go on boat racing.
The Camel and the Bud were paired together in all 3 heats. Smokin' Joes won them all. Meanwhile, Dave Vilwalk and the Pico American Dream won the final 2 B heats and claimed the second lane in the championship. Then there was domination. Deep Purple made the song Smoke on the Water famous. That's what the purple and gold boat was this weekend, smoking on the water. In the championship heat, it was Hanauer and the Budweiser with the lead into the first turn, but too much Smokin' Joes coming out. Mark Tate came out of that turn in front and would never look back. When the Budweiser blew their propeller and went dead in the water, it looked like a casual cruise to the checkered flag for Smokin' Joe's.
It's never easy, and I'll tell you what, it was pretty lumpy out there, and it's just a great race today.
Mark Tate was the last driver besides Chip Hanauer to win on the Columbia since 1991. This weekend, he dominated the field, snapping Budweiser's 3-year win streak, taking the 30th annual Columbia Cup. Nate Brown and the Pizza Time X side, running their first race of the year, finished second, and Mark Evans and the Miss Rock finished third, but the day belonged to the Smokin' Joes.
It's my 5th year anniversary of winning on the 30th of the Tri-Cities Columbia Cup, and I can't say it again, it's just been a great day.
We knew the team was ready. We knew Mark was ready, and, you know, the boat ride we got is just superb to anyone else, and that's what's making the difference now.
I think we would have put some pressure on him, you know, and it just, you know, wasn't our weekend.
The Budweiser team was trying to give owner Bernie Little his 100th career win. For that, Bernie Little's going to have to wait at least another week.
Well, we'll put it off till we win it. I'm not worried about that because we can get that along the way, so it'll happen.
You know, it comes with the territory. If you accept the good weekends, you have to accept the bad ones. So we accept it and just go to work.
Another thing the Budweiser team is going to have to accept, they are not in first place in the national standings anymore. With the victory, Smokin' Joe's is now the points leader in the national race. The boats get back on the water next weekend at the Seafair race in Seattle.